I began a master's degree in 2013, and my first year mapping in the Pilbara, so it's called the Dresser Formation. It's about 150 kilometres inland of Port Hedland, so sort of northwestern Australia. I did a 4-week mapping trip. So basically you just follow the strata and take notes. And so, I was a bit of a fish out of water because it was the first time I'd sort of done a really long mapping trip, outside of my undergraduate studies. So I didn't have a huge amount of knowledge of the area, didn't really know exactly what I was looking for. The sort of thesis of that project was try to link and I'm going to define this a bit, but try to link the hydrothermal fluids with the life that is in this formation. So hydrothermal fluids being hot water and the life being the stromatolites.
Do you ever have problems remembering all these words?
No.
I knew you were going to say no. Now you're just showing off.
Well, now, but I always have to define everything.
Of course.
So basically, my job was to try and link these hot water fluids, hydrothermal fluids, with life. And the previous research had shown that there was a huge amount of hot water that had circulated through this formation while the sedimentary rocks were accumulating. So there was something really dynamic about this system. It was an ancient volcano, but they weren't really sure exactly how the stromatolites had interacted with that environment. And so anyway, I just stumbled around for about 4 weeks. I think it may have been towards the end of the trip, maybe the 3rd or 4th week, where I actually got to about maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, I've had enough. Been out here since 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. I want to go home. So I decided rather than sort of walking around this big ridge, I decided I was just going to walk straight over it. And so I found this little valley, just a very narrow little gully sort of cut in the side of this sort of steep ridge. And I started walking up it. And of course it's, typical scene in a movie. You get halfway up this little valley and think, oh, this is an interesting outcrop. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll just take some notes. And grabbed a few samples, took some notes. I remember thinking that it was an interesting outcrop because my supervisor had previously shown me another outcrop that looked similar. And he told me that there was a lot of interaction of hydrothermal fluids in that outcrop. So I thought, okay, well, I'm supposed to be linking the hydrothermal fluids and life, so I'll take some information from this site. Didn't think anything of it. Put all the samples in my bag. Didn't look at those samples and probably until about 3 to 6 months later.
So wait, when you came across it, you didn't realise you'd come across it?
Well, yeah, so missing part of the story, when I grabbed some of the samples, I did pick up the GEYSERITE rock. And the thing is, all the rocks in the Pilbara are basically covered in a really thin rind of iron oxide. So everything is oxidized, basically.
Yeah, so you can't tell.
Yeah, so a lot of the time you have to kind of crack stuff open to see what the unweathered or somewhat fresh surface looks like.
It wasn't like a moment from Indiana Jones where you found
it was interesting. Everything about the outcrop was interesting, and the rock itself, I couldn't see anything except for about, a 3 millimeter diameter patch, which was fresh, had been kind of scraped off. And I saw the really fine laminations, and I thought, that's really weird. I haven't seen anything like that before. And then popped it in my bag. So that was it, really. And it wasn't really till we looked at it under the microscope that it became clear. Well, we cut the rocks in half and go, okay, are they interesting enough to thin section them and then look at them under the microscope? Got past that test, and then we looked at it under the microscope, and lo and behold, it was GEYSERITE.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There'll be a link somewhere to see the full interview. It may be currently floating near my head. Also, in podcast form, if you'd like to listen while cleaning the house or driving or whatever people do. You really should be paying attention though, seriously.